tell me about yourself? Introduce yourself.
Myself? Okay, should I tell you my name? My name is Swarn Singh. I was born in 1940 in India and migrated to this country in 1975. And I worked here for 5 years in the Guru Nanak Sikh Temple, Surrey, as a priest. And after that, I just did my own business here. And after closing my business after 15 years, then I was retired. And after retiring, these days I am working only to keep myself busy as an accountant. And but I am doing volunteer service and service for the community who need the help to get more and more spiritual knowledge and the religious knowledge also. At the different places, especially in the youth, I do the service in America and in British Columbia and in the different gurdwaras where they invite me. And I am married and I have 3 boys, children, and I have 4 grandchildren also. I live with my own son's family.
So you said you immigrated. Where were you born?
I was born in Punjab, Jalandhar district.
So you said you were a priest before you started your own business, so Granthi, right? So what does Granthi do?
Myself, I was just at that time doing all the services, especially the prayer services also, and also I was preaching my faith. And the preaching was at that time very interesting because I was the first priest in this country who could speak different languages also. So I could be helpful even to those children who were born in this country and they did not know how to speak Punjabi also. So I was also doing performing the marriage ceremonies in the Gurdwara and also those ceremonies after death which we perform. I was also doing prayer for them, for the departed souls also. And I was also visiting the families also in Delta and Surrey, where I could be helpful for those people to solve their family problems also. So this was my beginning starting in 1975 to 81. So before that in India I was working as a sub-inspector in corporate department, government service for 15 years. So but over here my main aim was to give the knowledge to the people of the reality of the faith. Because in my thinking, the religion is a practical way of life for the human being. And religion is also a science. And it is the science of soul. And soul is the main foundation of our life. When the soul is out, our body is dead. When the soul is in, our body starts to activate in the womb of the mother. So I was teaching the people the way I am not the body, but I am the power. Because God is the universal power. And I am the smallest particle of that power. And I was teaching the people, neither we are Christian, nor we are Sikh, nor we are Hindu. We are just the soul from the universal soul, just like a one drop of water is the part of the ocean, and the ocean is my main source. So I was teaching in that way that I am not the body, but I am the soul. And in that way, my teaching was very new in this country at that time. And many people, they were listening to me. And that was my busy life for 5 years here. So I was also visiting different temples, other temples, and other cities in those days also.
Did you have that in mind when you first immigrated?
Actually, it was my desire, which was fulfilled by the power of God. And also I had a desire in my mind not just only to collect money in this country. My desire was that people should get more and more knowledge and experience of my life should be transferred to the people who need it.
Did you go through any training before you became a priest?
Okay, it's a good question. Actually, when I got the education in high school, and it was religious school, Khalsa school, that means Sikh school. My environment at my home was according to Hindu rituals. But in Khalsa school, I got different language, which created conflict in my mind. Which way I should follow? Should I continue to follow my old rituals, or should I get rid of those rituals and adopt the new ideas from the Sikhism? But finally, because I trusted the teacher, whatever he was teaching me, I trusted him. I had full faith in my teacher. Therefore, I adopted the Sikh way of life in the school. And I started to do practice of the Sikh faith at the very beginning when I was just only, as I remember, 10 years old. So then I started to read scriptures and understand them, and some of them I got the guidance, because religion are the guidelines, and also religion is also guide, and we have to follow those guidelines. By when you follow, then you will have different life from your original life. So then my life was changed, and when my life was changed, then I studied the history of the Sikhism, which was full of persecution and prosecution and many martyrs. And I found why they were martyred. What was the reason behind? The reason behind which I found was the ideology, new ideology, which did not fit to the Indian society or even the invaders, because India is a country which is the country of the invaders, and from Afghanistan and from Mughals, they invaded India several times. And I was born in the state which was a border state, Punjab state. Therefore, Punjab had to suffer a lot of suffering with the hands of the invaders when they entered and when they left. So due to that, the Sikh history is also full of bloodsheds. How many people they gave their lives, they were martyred, and they sacrificed their life for the sake of the freedom of the country from the hands of the cruel rule of Mughal Empire. So when I studied that history, and I was very proud of my heritage. So that's why I adopted Sikh faith, and from the beginning, from India, what I was doing, I was sharing my knowledge even at the age of 16 with other youth, and collected them in the Gurdwara, and having a program, and I was delivering lecture to the people from the Gurbani and from the history also. This is our root. We should also join our root so that we can become a stronger people rather than a weaker people. So therefore, I had the desire in my mind also that if God gave me a chance to go to the foreign countries, the first step will be I will share my knowledge and experience to the people.
How did your parents react to you?
At the beginning, there was a negativity. There was not good relationship with me and with my father. Father was very tough. He wanted me to live in the family according to their way of life, but I rebelled. When I rebelled, there was a conflict, and my father kicked me out from the home, and I left the home at the age of 16 and got my own education from my own efforts, because I had no money. Nobody provided me money, but I was teaching some tuitions work at home at night, and in the morning I was going to the college, and I completed my college education with my own efforts. And after that, I got a job as a teacher, but my father did not accept me for so many years. But finally one day when I was going to be married, then they called me, because after the Indian culture, parents, they arrange the marriages. So then I was married, and after that even I continued to preach the way I was preaching. So nobody liked me in the family, but my sisters-in-laws, that means my brothers' wives, they were supporting me internally because they loved me, not loved me in this way that I was on the right direction. So, but they could not support me openly. So I was in my own way. When I got the government job, I did not need my parents to support me. Then I stood on my own feet with my family also, and I kept my family away from home for 15 years. And after that, God, Vaheguru, sent me in this country as a preacher. So this is the story. At the beginning I had so many problems, but that was a good thing to make progress.
Originally, why did you choose to listen to your Khalsa teacher over your parents?
Because the thing is that when you go to the school, naturally the student can only get education if he has full faith in his teacher. That was my first step, because I was thinking my parents are not educated, they had no knowledge, and my religious teacher has more knowledge than my parents, so that's why I had to believe him.
How did he teach you though? Was it through stories and scripture?
Through the stories, through the meaning of the scriptures.
So he utilized both stories and scripture.
Yes, both history also. Yeah.
So how is Sikhism now being taught to the next generation?
Okay, the way which I choose to teach them, I can only tell my way. I know that in the Khalsa schools they are being taught the way they are teaching, and it's good. And how they teach, because I had not full knowledge, but I know that mostly the students, they attend the prayer time, they have the prayer period in which they have the kirtan, you understand kirtan, and also they have they read some hymns also, and they also translate those hymns in English also. They have also projector over there in which every Shabad is displayed on the projector, and the children are also watching that, and some teachers, they explain them also in both languages also. This is the first thing in the school system. They are being taught their religious hymns plus history. But my way was totally different, because I continued to research more and more about the religion, how we can display the religion, present the religion to the people in a simple way, so that everybody should think, oh, I need it. Because if you do not need anything, you do not go for shopping. When you say I need this, then go for shopping. It doesn't matter how much does it cost. So then I wrote some notes in my life, because I went to America to attend a religious camp in which youth was sitting. But on the first day when I went there, so I just stood up on the stage to speak with them. When they saw my this dress, they were thinking I am only Punjabi speaking person. When I spoke few words in Punjabi, most of the children, they ran away from the temple. They said it's boring. But when I spoke in English, I said, okay, I love my religion because I paid the price. Then all the children, they came back to the hall, and they, oh my God, this person is speaking in English. So then I delivered them a lecture the first day. Look, what the religion is. I have studied through Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, and Sikhism, Christianity. I just discussed with them at the different meetings. How can we give the message of religion which should not create any bitterness, or because issue of God is very complicated and confusing. It's not easy to convince the people about the God existence. Many people, they are so mistakenly, they define God in a funny ways, but still they could not define it. Then when I told the children, look, my dear children, God, religion is a practical of way of life. Religion is also a science of soul. If you want to study the soul, you have to study the religion. Because if you want to be a spiritual scientist, why don't you then study about the spirit? Because if I want to be a botanist, I have to study the science of the trees. If you want to be an astronomer, you have to study the astronomy, the science of the stars. If you want to be a chemist, you have to study the chemistry. The same thing, physics. If you want to be a religious person, you have to learn the religious science. And religious science is the soul. Soul is the main energy, power through which we exist. So therefore, we do not need to worship God, because God is never to be worshipped. You cannot make God happy because He is never angry. And also, God is not a person. God is a power. And power is only one, not two. But that one power is pervading in each and every creature. Look, the sun is one, but there are many rays. But sun is the one. The rays cannot build the sun, but the sun can build the rays. Look at the ocean. Ocean is one, but the tides are many. But look here, waves are many, but waves can not survive without the ocean. But the ocean can survive without the waves. All the creatures are many, but the Creator is one. Creatures cannot make the Creator, but the Creator can create the creatures. So therefore, creature cannot survive without the Creator, but the Creator can survive without the creatures. Look, the Creator is one. That Creator is for all, for everything. So therefore, that Creator is living in the creation, and the creation is then the Creator, as the tree is in the seed, but the seeds are in the trees. But seed is one, but that one seed contain invisible a big tree, and that big tree has also so many more seeds. So therefore, the definition of God is very simple, that God is one, and just like a seed, we are all the part of His creation. Therefore, the whole creation, I can say, whatever we say in the material, it's the expansion of one. And in this expansion, I am also the smallest particle in the whole. So therefore, my dear, that power of God is also within me, not outside. It's in and out, everywhere. So therefore, we should only utilize that power. I should not worship electricity. If I worship electricity, and after worshipping for so many days and years, if I touch it by both fingers, go to the both holes, it will not spare me. So therefore, we must know the rules and laws of this nature God created, and we should follow them. So this is the second thing which I understood. The third thing is that the religion can tell me what is wrong and what is right from my inner voice. And the fourth thing which I learned is that religion can tell me the relationship between my mind, my body, my soul, and my life, and God. This is the religion. I am not naming it any religion. It has no name. Now Sikhism told us only this basic thing in the latest, I can say latest world, present world, because in the present world, if the religion fits to the world, that's only the Sikhism today. Otherwise in Bible there are so many stories which do not fit to the science. There are so many stories in Quran which do not fit to your mind. Understand. So God is living in seventh sky. Do not believe that. There are hell upstairs where everybody has to burn upside down. When we are cremated here, we have been buried here, how we can upside down, put down in the hell? So our body is still here. So that means there are certain things which are not believable. So when I started this way, giving them the purpose of the religion, then people started to adopt these ideas and do the practice, and they found so many solutions of their life. And everything I explained through the Gurbani, through the hymns of Gurus. Because the hymns of Gurus are not a story, are not even the poems. These are all messages we received through the inner voice or the spirit of our Gurus. We believe that hymns are directly in great knowledge of the truth from God through our Gurus. So that's why the way I teach, it affected the minds of the many people. And I did it in the Gurdwaras, did it on the television programs, and these days the people, they are just listening to me on the radios also. I was just delivering a lecture on the radio show and on the TVs, and nowadays it's the internet too. So these are my little bit efforts to help the people to understand about God and the religion.
What are the challenges of teaching Sikhism?
The first challenge is the language. Because our children, many children before 84, they lost their Punjabi language. Even the parents, they lost their Punjabi language. You know that Guru Granth Sahib is written in Punjabi script, but it has many languages. It has Hindi, it has Sanskrit, it has a Persian language also, and some words of English also. So therefore, it's very difficult to understand Guru Granth Sahib if you do not need the real language in which it has been written. So that was also one of the challenges which we had. So then after 1984, the parents were also interested to teach their children the language in which Gurbani has been written. And for that purpose, Gurdwaras, they provided help. They arranged some classes in which the parents, they took their children, and in the Gurdwaras also, now the children, they are speaking, they are understanding both languages. And you know that our many children, they do the kirtan also these days. Some in classical music also. So if they want to learn more and more kirtan, they need also the language in which they can pronunciate, and if they can sing in our language. If they know only English, then singing style won't be Punjabi style. So that's why the children had to learn Punjabi language also. So it made progress. But still, majority of the children we have difficulty to teach them these days in Punjabi language. It's very difficult for them to understand. The second problem is, which we called the new age, or which we called computer age, internet age, and these days I can say the also the telephone age, iPhone. So these are also abusing, children are also abusing these days all these things also. But the children who are using the computer help, it's also good for them because in computer there are so many websites where you can learn your own faith also. But if you have the the desire to do that, but still children are more and more addicted to the internet, to the games. They do not pay full attention towards the religious life, because the Western society is also more and more powerful than their own culture. Western culture is also very powerful culture. So easily people are trapped in it. So Western culture is not bad. There are good things, there are bad things. But good things sometimes people don't adopt them easily. Bad things they adopt, where they have been targeted by the bad things also. So therefore, too much freedom in the Western society is also spoiling our next generation. Because you cannot say this thing, you cannot this thing, every child is say, oh, this is my business. Individuality is also one problem in the society at this time. Everybody says, this is me, this is mine, this is yours, and this which is creating selfishness. And selfishness is also creating bitterness, and children and parents are aparting from each other. So therefore, that's also one problem. Children do not practice father is my boss. They do not practice it. They say, I know everything. If you want to teach, if you want to say to your child, okay, don't stay outside late at night. You know what the child says, who is 20 years old? I am 20 years old. Mom, I am not a child. I am not a baby. I know everything. If she says, no, you don't know everything. You don't know what is going to happen with you. Then the boy says or girl says, Mom, I think there's something wrong in your brain. It's better you should go to the psychologist or the doctor, get yourself checked. Because I'm not a baby anymore. But these things, when they make argument with the families, then there's also a big problem. To keep the relationship between the parents and the children, that's also one of the reasons that we cannot continue to teach our faith, because the parents are also not highly educated to control their children the way they should. So that's also one another problem. Language is also a problem, and the gap is also another problem. And Western societies, and not only Western, but the computer age is also a big problem at this time. The teacher, they don't listen. The children, they don't listen.
So technology, has that affected it?
Computer technology.
Can you tell me more about the broadcasting of the hymns and the prayers?
Okay, now it is big, good, I can say, facilities for the youth and for the people, because many programs or the services are being broadcasted through the radio, through the television also for 24 hours. Even we can listen to the programs from India, all over the world. The people can watch, we can see, and locally we have also different programs which are being broadcasted, displayed through the television system also. So we had make progress, but not enough like Christianity, because Christianity is controlling 5 or 6 channels also, but we do not have even one channel to I can say to broadcast our programs for the whole day, right? Because we did not have so much funds to spend on that. But still, it has made a great progress as compared to 40 years ago.
I think Raj was saying, is it 5:39? They broadcast from the Golden Temple.
Yeah, I can say from the whole world. You can watch Delhi also, Gurdwara. You can watch Golden Temple also. For the whole day you can watch now on the computer, on the internet. But live program you can also watch. Some people have bought the programs, additional dishes also through the internet, tell us also they are providing, right? But everybody does not have that that dish. They don't buy everything. But program is provided. But how many people just utilize it depends upon the family's decision.
Do you utilize it? Do you watch?
I just watch only at the internet.
Do Gurdwaras usually have a library, and then do they have books in Punjabi and English?
Most of the Gurdwaras, they claim they have the libraries.
They claim.
Yeah, they claim. But they do not have the libraries up to the standard where the children should sit there and spend their time, they enjoy they do not have library like other government libraries, like here, we have the library in Surrey area, we have a library in Delta where the people can sit and they can get knowledge and so many thousand different languages books. But Gurdwaras, they have books. But I think, still I feel, they are not up to the standard. Because people are not attracted to spend their times in the library. They spend most of the time outside eating, langar and all those things and wandering outside. But I did not see any, Gurdwaras have the libraries, but I did not see anybody who is sitting there and reading and studying. People are not interested to study the books. That's also one problem. Because due to the internet, and more entertainment on these things now, and telephone is also entertainment now, and even the children, many children, they used to take their telephone at the Gurdwara and they were playing games, but now the Gurdwaras have by law said nobody can bring the telephone inside. If they bring, it should be turned off. So children are more and more attached or addicted to this technology rather than to read the books also. Book reading is also becoming less and less and less, even in the Western society.
When you said not up to standard, do you mean they didn't have enough books?
Yeah, not enough books, not enough room, and not facilities to sit there, like chairs and tables, and there's a librarian also over there. No, just books are there, and I have seen some books are mess, which is weakness, which I feel the big weakness in our Gurdwaras.
Do they also have English and Punjabi and other languages?
Yeah, English, Punjabi, Hindi, and some of them are from Urdu. Yeah.
But you said people don't really utilize that. Do you think, is there any way, do you think things should be done differently so people are encouraged to go to the library and look at scripture?
Yes. I think first of all we should feel that the desires and the demands of the children. what kind of environment they want, and we should discuss with them. And we should also choose one of them as a librarian, in charge of the library, and he or she will attract their I can say companions or the students of their age, to invite them to come to the library, and they must have some kind of entertainment, like movies there, and not only the movies of the religion but movies of the science should also be played there, so that the children can be attracted to come to the library. My suggestion is we should choose some students who can be in charge of the library, and library should be open on every Saturday and Sunday, so that the children should organize their own library.
When you were younger and learning about the religion, did you go to?
Oh, I just studied lots of books from the library, from the school, library from the college. I was interested to read more and more books of the different religions, also my own religion also, because I was comparative studying all the religions. What the message they gave, what the message my religion gave, I was comparing, but I was not hating any religion, because I was thinking it's a research. The research 2000 years ago was different, but research after 2000 years is different. So therefore Sikhism is the latest religion, and it was founded at the time of Reformation in Europe, and also the French Revolution, and also there was a industrial revolution at that time. There was a conflict between the labor class, unions also, and also there was a conflict between the owners of the industries. So therefore in that age, when the Martin Luther, he founded another religion which is called Protestant, and the Sikhism was also founded at the same time. So therefore that age was the present age, new age of this world, new thinking. So therefore I think that we should know that the research of the science 2000 years ago was different. Like the atomic theory, Dalton's theory, Rutherford theory, that atom is not divisible, it was invisible. But after that it was proved no, atom can be divided into electrons and protons and neutrons, right? So that means that was the latest answer of that theory. Therefore Sikhism is the latest one, which is based upon the modern age. So therefore I think we should also keep in mind to guide the children about this.
Has the number of people who visit the Gurdwara changed over time? Increase, decrease, either or?
After 1984 the number was increased. Before 84 there was only one Gurdwara in the Surrey. But now if you travel through the Surrey, it's about 10 or 15 Gurdwaras in the Surrey. So that means number of the people has totally been increased. And also when you have more population, you have more problems. To solve those problems we need also a spiritual environment. Another thing is that if you have more population, you need more and more couples to be married. We need the Gurdwaras for that. At this time there is a line-up for 3 years. All the Gurdwaras are booked. So that means if I believe 1984 number of the people who are attending the Gurdwaras has totally been increased.
And then can you explain what happened in 1984?
1984 I think if you believe in political science or the law of the United Nations, every person has the right to practice his faith, freedom of rights, for right of I can say the religion and the education and your culture, to maintain your culture, freedom of speech also. In India, when we were fighting for the freedom against the British Empire, Sikh community was at the top, on the front, to fight against the British Empire. 92% of total martyred people, they were from the Sikh community in the freedom of India. We were thinking that India is my country. I was fighting for the freedom of whole India. And we did. No doubt about that. And we were also giving a promise by the Indian society, majority Hindu society, which we call, or Congress government, Congress party, or Mahatma Gandhi. They gave us the promise that when we get the freedom, we will give you your right share and the right place where you can enjoy the freedom of your faith and your culture. You know, Punjab has totally different culture as compared to the whole India, because we have different history. So we believed them, and we did that. With Pakistan, Mr. Jinnah, who demanded Pakistan, and he became the leader of Pakistan, he told our leaders that, look, you have never seen these leaders who are promising you, those promises are false. When they get freedom, then you will know after that. Then you will know these people look very nice when they were slaves. But when they will become free, they will become the most cruel in the world. You should better have agreement with us, with Pakistan. So we were in between two religions, Islam and Hinduism. But finally we were cheated. We went toward the side of India. When we got the freedom, after that, the first reward was given to us, that a confidential letter was issued to all the commissioners of the different districts that you should keep watch upon the Sikh community. They are criminals. They should be treated as criminals. When this letter was given by a loyal person who was loyal to Sikhism, he gave that letter, confidential letter, to our leadership. Then conflict started. Then also we were offered one thing after the freedom. Look, if you want to live in this country, in India, you have to live in our way of life, which was not acceptable to us. So then conflict started. All the states of India were divided according to the language. There are 17 recognized languages in India. But Punjab was not given that status. It was still considered as the Hindu state, not Punjabi state. Punjabi language was not given to Punjab, that people can speak in Punjabi, we will write in Punjabi. Punjabi was not enforced in Punjab. So we demanded Punjabi Suba, Punjabi state. Government arrested more than 100,000 people, put into the jail, because we demanded our right. The right was not given to us. After that, when we gave sacrifices, then they say, okay, we will give you Punjabi Suba, Punjabi state. But that Punjabi state was given to us, small one. During that period, they divided Punjab into Haryana, another state, and also another state which is called Himachal. That means Punjab had so many districts, but now Punjab was only left for 4 districts, smallest. Economically, we were not very strong, and so many Punjabi areas were given to the other states. So that means conflict continued. Then we said, okay, we need more rights to the states, just like these countries. Rather than to give us any right, they took our rivers direct in the control of federal government. Rivers, dams, they were all controlled by the Indian government, by the federal government. That means we were helpless in our state. We became slave in our own country. Then we raised the voice that we should have more economical rights. You can just keep only the military with you, but all other resources should be under the control of the state. But Punjab was not given these rights at all. So then, when we demanded these things, then rather than to talk with us, they labeled us as terrorists and extremists because we were demanding our rights. Then you remember what happened after that. Indira Gandhi, in spite of promising to the world, I am not going to raid Golden Temple, but she declared in whole Punjab emergency, and martial law was imposed, and Amritsar Golden Temple was isolated from the whole world, disconnected. There was no media to be present there. All the Western media was kicked out from that state, and during 3 or 4 days, when the Sikhs were celebrating the martyrdom of a 5th Guru who was martyred by the Mughals, and there were so many Sikhs there just only for the pilgrimage. Huge people were inside. Even they did not ask them to get out. You know that they opened fire with the cannons, with the tanks also. And you remember that about, as the report says, about 400 more than that were killed. Military was also killed. But all those innocent people who were inside the temple, they were tied up and they were also killed on the spot. Children and women. Nobody was given any water to drink. And the military, they used mostly the Hindu military. They desecrated our holy place at that time. So the reason was we were demanding freedom. There was no other reason, because media was in the hand of the Indian government. Therefore, they did not report what we were demanding. They only said they were inside, they were terrorists, and we had to kick them out. That's why we raided. They had so other methods. They could disconnect the electricity. They could disconnect the water. Right? They should stop the food to go inside, but they did not take these kind of actions at all. They just only attacked the temple. From that day, still, people of Punjab, especially Sikh, they cannot forget that day. Then Indira Gandhi was killed also in the same year. And after her killing, media says the Sikh bodyguard killed. They use the word Sikh bodyguard. Remember, Mahatma Gandhi was killed by a Hindu, right? But nobody declared in those days the Hindu killed. But when the Indira Gandhi was killed, it was blamed to the Sikh bodyguard. When they used the word Sikh, then those political people, Hindu people or Congress government people, they said we will take revenge. They collected mobs, and after collecting mobs, they labeled the Sikh homes also. They got the list for the voters, and they killed one by one. About 4,000 people were killed only in Delhi. And up till now, we have not got the justice. Nobody was prosecuted in the court, and nobody has been punished yet. Still, those people got better places in the government. So police did not take any action, because police was also ordered not to take the side of the Sikhs, but take the side of the mobs. Gang rapes were done, children were burnt alive, or hair was cut, and this was done in the democratic country when the Indira Gandhi was being cremated, and in Delhi capital there were so many ambassadors from all over the world. They were present there, and at the same time the Sikhs were being brutally killed in their presence. But up till now, no government of other world, they raised the voice in our favor or reality. So that's why this was the main reason we were demanding more economical powers, but we were not given anything. Still this conflict goes on and on.
The people who visit the Gurdwara, is it mostly older people, mostly youth?
I think middle age also, elder people, they also go there. Middle age go there, but the children or the youth, their number is not up to the mark which we want. Youth still they are not in good number, because the reason is the preachers who preach there, they do not speak in English. So that's why it's boring for them.
And by there you mean the Gurdwara?
Yeah. But some children, they attend on Sunday English program. Yeah. Then the hall is full. Sari Gurdwara.
But definitely mostly older people.
Yes, majority are the older people.
Has the number of people who take Amrit changed over time?
Probably they do, because the thing is that they found the new life, new way of thinking, because the attitude of the person can be changed with the knowledge. The knowledge can only be achieved through some commitment. So Amrit, the ceremony of Amrit is the commitment, or fully commitment, and plus we say I have committed myself to the power or the knowledge of Guru, and I have also 100% giving myself, my mind and body and soul to the power of Guru or the knowledge. So that's why after that, when they follow the ideology, follow the rules of the Amrit, then they experience new life, and their lifestyle is changed, and majority of them, they enjoy this new life.
But just the number of people who take Amrit?
Number of people has been increased since 1984.
But before 1984 it was?
I can say it was zero.
So before 1984 number of people who take Amrit.
That's right. Yeah, that's correct.
How has the type of questions being asked by the youth changed over time? Are they asking more or less questions?
Okay, the number of question is one question is why we should not have the same freedom as the Western children they have. This main question. Why am I not allowed to wander outside on the streets?
And who asks these questions?
Some children they ask these questions. Another question is some of the parents who are ignorant about this thinking, they give full freedom to the boys, but not to the girls. And the girls are also asking why I am not allowed to wander outside at night. When my brother can go, why I should not go? If we think deeply, I know it's not good. Either we should give freedom to both or we should not give freedom to both. We should have the same rules to the male and the female. But the people are thinking, when our daughter is trapped in any other boy, the news will spread in our society, in our culture. Then if the relationship will not be successful with the boy with she is living, then she will never be married any other place. Then there will be problem. So, but people cannot make the children understand why both should stay at home. Either both should, the rule should be for both, not to the one side. This is also one question which is being asked by the children also. The second question they ask us, why we cannot live the same life as the Western children they do have. Then we have to say a simple thing. When somebody asks me if you want to live in this country, you have to live in our way of life, right? And then I replied to that person in my life. I said, well, when I came in this country, you say, why are you living in this country? You do not match with us. You have to live our way of life. I said, okay, if you do not like my dress, I can change the best dress. Will you like me? He said, no. I said, why? Because your language is different. Then I say, okay, if I speak in English, will you like me? No. Why? Because your religion is different. Then I say, okay, I became Christian. Will you like me then? No. Because your way of eating is different. You eat so many spices. I don't like it. Hey, give me bad smell. I said, okay, I will start to eat cake and bread and all your cookies and pizzas and all these things. Will you like me? They say, no. I said, why? Because your color is different. Then I can say, it's not my fault. Then what should I do? I should live in my own culture, own religion, own way of thinking. Because I will never become same like these people are. Their color is white, my color is black or brown. I cannot become white and he cannot become brown. So therefore he should stay in his own culture and I should stay in my own culture. Because I cannot become him and he cannot become like me. So I just teach the children this way. Look, we can make progress through our own culture, through our own way of living, through our way of eating. There's no problem. But we can eat Western things also if they're good. We can also enjoy the Western society if it is good. But we should not say that I should totally become Western culture, which is difficult for me. So therefore these questions are also asked by the children. But another question is, why we cannot go to the parties? Well, parties in which those parties which I can say these days, that you know the dating system, our children, they don't like the marriages which we call arranged marriages. And arranged marriage is very common question asked to us. But remember, every marriage is arranged marriage. Doesn't matter your parents arranges or you arrange yourself. After all, it is arranged. One thing. The word arrange is a very hated word. But remember, I say there's no arranged marriages in our culture. It is a proposed marriage. After all, we have to decide to get my partner. I have to decide for me to get my partner. How I can get? There are different formulas. The one formula is I should have love marriage. But in the love marriage system, how many are successful marriages? We should find out the percentage. Love marriage, how can you make the judgment? Oh, my partner is perfect. How can you judge it? Can you judge the next person that he or she is perfect? No. Because every person in this world is unique. And you cannot read her personality, you cannot judge his personality. I have been married for 50 years. Even I cannot make the judgment of my wife during these times because you cannot judge anybody. Judgment is also so bad. So the children who are dating, mostly they do not get married easily. 5 years, 4 years, they were wandering, they were living together, eating together, sleeping together, and still they do not make the decision because they don't trust each other. Another formula, very simple, that this question was asked by the Sun paper also long time ago. I said, look, Western culture, they enjoy their, which we called spring, they enjoy the spring before marriage. But our culture, we enjoy our spring after the marriage. You understand my point?
Kind of.
Because the enjoy of the sex before marriage, love marriage, they enjoy it, everything before they get married. But we start after the marriage. You understand my point? So therefore, many pre-relationship marriages are not successful. They are more physically abuser, the dating system. Some people, they don't get to be married. They live together. This kind of, they have the children also. Even they are not married. No father, no mother. They are running away from the responsibility. So therefore, in our culture, we say first you get married, then you start to love each other. So I know that it does not look good for the Western society. When I say I didn't see my wife before I was married, they are making jokes against me. But it was good for me. So therefore, parents have experience. They are not imposing their decision. They are proposing. Because they are helping you to find out a right partner for you. So this question is also asked by your children.
Do they ask about the religion, like defining things or why, or kind?
Yes, they are asking about the reasons why I should have kada, why should we should take amrit, why we should keep hair, why should have the turban, what is the benefit? Just like in Western system, they are asking all these questions. Then the parents who know, they explain them, but if they don't know, then they bring their children to me and some another person where they can get satisfactory answer. So these questions are asked. Just like we, in our faith, when you take Amrit, you have to get up early in the morning. Just like myself, I get up at 3:30 in the morning and I take exercise and take bath. Then after that I do meditation, then read hymns. Then this is my lifestyle. But when you get Amrit, then the children ask, why should you get up early in the morning? So we have to give them answer spiritually and also health-wise and physical improvement also. Early to bed and early to rise make us healthy, wealthy and wise. So therefore we are also giving them some ideas of the other religions also. Christianity also teaches us to get up early in the morning. Buddhists also, they get up early in the morning. Muslims also, they do their first prayer early in the morning. So early in the morning, getting up is also giving you more energy and you get more peace of mind when you do meditation. These questions are also asked by the teacher, by the children about the religion.
When you were a child, did you also ask similar questions?
Because my parents had no knowledge at all. So we were asking our teachers at that time.
But did you ask teachers like the same things? Why do you wear the kara?
No, at that time we were not so much broad-minded and because we had to do whatever they say. At that time we did not say, we had no reason why. Because we respected whatever somebody said. It was a different age. At that time we did not question our parents at all. So whatever they said, we accepted it. But these days, children, they don't accept if they are not satisfied.
Is that also because we're in a Western culture?
Right, that's also one of the reasons.
So the reason, could you state the reason? The reason you think would be?
Yes. Yeah.
Are there any other reasons you think, or just?
No, this is the main reason. Because their lifestyle in the school, at the home, in the society is different. We say something else to do. You know that in the Western society they are teaching us individuality. My room, my bed, my bike, my car. But our society says our house, our car, our parents, but it says mine and mine and mine. That's also creating big bitterness among the relationships. Because these days, husband and wife, they don't trust each other. Because they are taught to be individual. When you are individual, there is a conflict within the children and the parents, within the each and every relationship. It's broken on this issue. The children are also there thinking individually, their own benefit. They are becoming more selfish and selfish. Why I should not be a selfish? Because we say this body belongs to God. It's not yours. But school says no, this body is yours. This is my body. Nobody can touch it. Right? But we say no, this is not your body. This belongs to God. So these are the basic differences also. Sometimes the children, they don't agree with us.
What advice would you give parents on raising their children as Sikhs in terms of how they would pass on the religion?
Because first of all, before they conceive any child, they must purify their mind and their thoughts. Mind is the sum total of your thoughts. Good thoughts, good mind. Bad thoughts, bad mind. We give the guidance to the woman and parents that before you conceive a child, you must know yourself what kind of dream you have in your life. And the dream should be positive. And positive means every parents want that our child should not be a problem of our family. Everybody. Because if you have no child in your life, there's a problem. If you have a child, but he or she dies after that, there's another problem. But the biggest problem is if your child is a spoiled child. That's the biggest problem in the family, which is the main problem in our families these days. So due to that, we try to tell them where was the fault. The first fault is at the time of conception of the parents, what kind of thoughts they had, it will affect the mind of the child. The second thing we believe, the child when conceived in the womb of the mother, he or she brought a mind from his or her past actions of their past life. And those are all recorded in her mind or his mind. During the 9 months stay in the womb of the mother, it's a very good chance God provided to us, to the children, as a university where hostel totally free, food and lodging. But during 9 months, the child should learn from where? From the environment of the mother, from the genes of the mother and the father, and also learn from the other places how she thinks, what she eats, and how she reacts. Has she the control over her mind? And all these things will affect the mind of the child. We teach them to keep their minds peaceful. Control over desires as much as they can. And food, they should eat healthy food. Then after that, at the time of birth, we take the child to the Gurdwaras and we choose the name and got the prayer from the Granthi or priest for the good life of the child, and he or she should be obedient to the parents and should be a spiritual minded person in his or her life. We do prayer for that. And after doing prayer, the parents who choose to make their child as a Sikh, they have different plans. The people who do not have that choice, they want the child, whatever, we need the boy, we need the girl, it doesn't matter what kind of they would be. They have different plans. But the parents who wanted them to be religious and spiritual, they have different plans. They read Gurbanis and they teach the children when keep in the laps of the mother. She also talking, singing, and reading some books and reading some hymns also loudly, so that the child should hear, listen to those things and thinking about that, because the listening power of the child is very powerful. So by listening from the environment, that will also affect the mind of the people. We give the instruction to the parents to keep these instructions and practice it in the presence of the child. That will affect the mind of the child. And the next is we send to the school, like where in the Gurdwaras where the Punjabi is being taught. There are many parents, they take them. And nowadays the Khalsa school, they are also providing religious education in the school. So many people now there's a lineup in the schools to get them registered. There's no room over there. So that's also a big change. The parents want their children not to be spoiled in their future. So these things we take care of them while we raise them up as a Sikh. Then parents also, they wanted them to be baptized when they get about 10 years old or 12 years old. Then after the baptism, they are also told them to sit with the parents and do the prayer. Like in my home, my grandchildren, they sit with me in the evening prayer. So we eat together, sit together, and pray together, which is helpful to create a very powerful family. And so that the children should feel more and more freedom at home and enjoy the extended family also. So these things we take care, and just like I just sang Shabad Gurbani, my grandchildren also they also sing the Shabad with me. Yeah, with the music.
For the Khalsa school, is it like Monday to Friday? Is it after school, or how often do you like?
Khalsa school, it's full-time school.
It's
Full-time school.
It's 4 times.
Full-time school.
Oh, it's full-time school.
Full-time school. Only one period of the religion is there, but it's academic education plus religion. It's a full-time school.
So elementary, middle school.
Yes, it's up to 12, grade 12. One is elementary up to 7th grade on Newton area, and the other Old Jail Road is up to grade 12.
So how many Khalsa schools are there?
We have 3. One in Newton, the second is Old Jail, third is in Mission.
Okay. How did you raise your children as Sikhs? As Sikhs.
I explained you before, we raise them, we tie the turban on, we tie the patka, and also the mother looks after their hair especially, and they just tie them up and help them to do that, and told them the way that they should keep their identity, their hairs are very good and nice, and these words we use at the time of combing their hair, so that they should love them, and then we make them trained how to tie the turban and why we should have the turban. And turban is the pride of a Sikh, as it's just like crown of our guru given to us as a gift. So we teach them the values of all these articles of faith, and plus the turban, and what is the benefit of getting up early in the morning, reading hymns in the morning and the evening. We told them to follow all these instructions and practice them every day, and read the hymns and understand what the meaning is. And sometimes we exchange their meanings with each other also. So these things are practically done at home. Only in that family who have the dream to raise the children as a Sikh.
So is it usually just orally then? Do you ask them to read scripture? Do you read?
No, we also read the scriptures.
How do you guys read with them? Or?
It's because we sit together and read them, because there are some books in English and Punjabi both, and also in Roman, so that they can read them easily. So they read it first of all in the Romans, then after that, when they know Punjabi, then they can read in Punjabi. So this is also a basic thing we teach them to do now.
Were there any difficulties in passing on your religion to your children?
Okay, it depends upon the family's circumstances.
But for you personally?
For me, it's because I have traveled in this country for 40 years, and those days there was a big problem in the schools, and in the schools we were treated so badly, and our children, when they had the turban or the patka on their head, the teachers, even they were so ignorant, they sent the letters to the parents and cut their hair because there's a big problem in the school, other children are bullying them. and that was not the solution, but they did not know what it was. So that was also one problem when we sent the children to the schools. The solution was only the knowledge, otherwise it was very difficult to find the solution. So every parents cannot do that, because they are also not going to school to solve this problem. Many parents, they were cutting the hair and send their children back to the school, but that was not the solution. So this was also difficulty with me, but I just solved this problem when I approached the principals and the teachers concerned and explained them, and this problem was solved in my school, where my children were going, but it was not solved in the whole city. Then we found another solution. We had a subject in one of the schools in Surrey. That subject was of world religion knowledge. Then there was a teacher in that school, and he invited me. He invited all the different religious leaders to speak with the students about their faith and culture, and I was also invited to that school several times, where I delivered lectures to the children also, so that children can live together in a peaceful way, so that they should not misunderstood each other. So that was also helpful. But finally the main problem was in the hands of the teachers. Then we called the meeting of the teachers of School Board Surrey, Delta and Burnley, and they got together in Delta High School. Then I also delivered the lecture to all of them, and they asked so many questions, and I answered those questions. From that day, we had better relationship with the other children who were from the Western society, but it was helpful, but not really, because children, they understood, but the parents still, they have the same ideology, hate against the Asian people, hate against us, hate. When I delivered that lecture long time ago to the students, then I asked them to give their comments about my teaching. Then one of the students from the same class, he wrote some comments in his book. He said, hate comes from prejudice, and prejudice comes from ignorance, and the solution is the knowledge, and knowledge can be achieved through education, which solved great problems. So it is a process, slowly and slowly, because hate cannot be removed in one day. It takes time. So this was the way how I protected my children and helped to protect the children of the other people by giving the knowledge to the different teachers, so that the problem should be solved as much as we could. Another problem was there was no South Asian teachers in the schools. Mostly they were from the white community. That was also a problem, because nobody was hiring the teacher with the turban or the Indian teacheress, because we were not even highly qualified to be hired the teacher. But when the Khalsa school was opened in 1986, the Khalsa school hired not only the Sikh teachers, but hired also the white community or Christian or Muslim teachers also. And after that decision, now other public schools also, because our population was increased in the Surrey and Delta area, now after that they started to hire the teachers with the turbans also. So we did not have even a manager or the higher official in the banks, but now the banks, for the sake of their business, they have hired the manager with the turbans. Because Khalsa School and the Khalsa Credit Union helped great to us, because we gave jobs to the Khalsa Credit Union only to the Sikhs who were practically practicing their faith. That's why other banks, for the sake of competition, they hired the Sikh with the turban so that they can get the better business. So it was also good step to take, so that other institutions which should also hire our people. So now our children who were raised as a Sikh, they knew the human rights. And if somebody does not hire you due to this, if they feel I have been discriminated, then they could take the case to the Human Rights Commission. That was also done by our children. The children were encouraged after that. So there was a big change, but I cannot say 100% change. Still, Canadian society is also dominated Christian society. So therefore, still internally discrimination is there in the jobs, even in the other things also. But still this country is the best country in the world as compared to other countries, because I visited the whole Europe, but Canadian society has more freedom than other countries. So therefore our children are also very happy in this country, because they enjoy their culture and religion and also their identity also.
Were your children receptive when you taught them about your religion? Like, did they readily accept it? Did they rebel? Did they not want to learn?
As far as my children were concerned, they did not rebel. Because when you give the knowledge and the education at the beginning, in the childhood, then they enjoy themselves. Because mostly I told them, religious life is a disciplined life. And right in your book I said, more freedom, more problems. More discipline, more happiness. It is difficult, discipline, but happiness you will enjoy more. But more freedom can ruin your life. So therefore, I told the children mostly that look, you got the freedom, but under some limits. That's called discipline. Without discipline, you cannot run the school. Without discipline, you cannot run the army. Without discipline, you cannot run the office. We need the discipline. Without discipline, you cannot run the family.
How about your grandchildren? How are they?
They are baptized, all of them. They are with the turbans. And my granddaughters they have also the turban, both of them. They are very good. They are very obedient. And they are also doing kirtan. They are also sometimes teaching their own brothers, my granddaughters. So as far as up till now, with the grace of God, they are very good.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you.